This is Josh Tomlin of the Cleveland Indians, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
Sports Fix Universe, support your boy J-Rocc. Show some pride for the 216. Pick up a brand new J-Rocc Daddy t-shirt from ProWrestlingTees.com. Just go to ProWrestlingTees.com/J-Rocc, J-R-O-C-C, and pick up a brand new t-shirt today. Show some love, support the 216, and give it up one time for J-Rocc on ProWrestlingTees.com.
Sports Fix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix.
Hey guys, J-Rocc here from the Sports Fix, and we always talking about using our platform to try to help the world and the society we live in, and everywhere I go and everywhere we go, bullying is one of the problems in today's society. There's nothing worse than any person, big or small, strong or weak, adult or child, feeling picked on, pushed around, vulnerable, and victimized at the hands of a bully. Change comes one person at a time, and my good friends at No Such Thing as a Bully are working on skills and techniques and ways that we can all change and make things better for everyone. Find out more at NoSuchThingAsABully.com.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Catch every UFC pay-per-view live in full HD at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
And away we go. I had to do the little switch over there because we are live on Facebook today as well, doing the opening segment, plus, of course, the usual Sports Fix madness. We're going to take it up a notch here as we get back into the studio. I see the phone lines are already ringing. Facebook's already blowing up, guys, as we get rocking and rolling back into the show. I'm going to get to the call in just a moment here. I think I just lost somebody. Matter of fact, guys, if you called in, give me 1 second here as I get things straightened back out, and I'll get back to you guys on the phone. Everything's blowing up. I see you guys on Facebook over there. Yeah, I had a little bit of a switch over. Here we go. We are back live in the studio, my friends. Welcome into the Sports Fix. We have so much to get into. Dan Wismar, my man BJ Rudell, both going to be in the house today. We're talking Browns. We're talking Indians. Man, it's falling off the rails for the Browns already. Indians, so much to get into. Another injury. A lot of people. We'll get into the Tribe, but they are still continuing to push. Magic number down to just 6. First division title right there for the taking. But what is the Tribe going to do after that? We're going to talk about that here in a moment. Dan Wismar is going to be with us. My man, sports writer Dan Wismar, BJ Rudell, fantasy football for winners. We're going to update the fantasy football Sports Fix challenge here in just a moment. Opening up the phone lines. I've already got callers in the queue. Guys, we have got so much going on. And as I mentioned, we are live on Facebook. Shout out to everybody out there. We are live on Facebook just for the opening segment of today's show. So, if you've never listened to us before, perhaps you're checking us out here on the Facebook feed. When we hit the break, right around 12:25, we've got Dan Wismar joining us after the news. We're going to kill it on Facebook. You'll have to join us here across the Sports Fix Radio Network. What is that, you may ask? I have the answer. Welcome in. Let's do the spiel. We've got a lot to do. Welcome in to the Sports Fix, my friends. I am your host, the Big Daddy on the microphone, J-Rocc, Jerry Myers, with you guys here as we are each and every time we crack the mic live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. Maybe you're enjoying the show live on Facebook, on TuneIn, on Mixlr, on Spreaker, and their respective digital and mobile apps, all fantastic places to listen live or on digital delay. Perhaps you're enjoying the show on our home base, thesportsfix.net. If you're not, or if you haven't, bookmark it today. It's a great place to not only find out everything about the Sports Fix, it's got our social media widgets tied right in there. You can tweet us, you can Facebook us right there on the page. Not only that, but It's a place where you can check out all the sponsors that help make the Sports Fix free of charge for you guys. And if any of the sites where you usually listen to the show are down and not working, we are always broadcasted live. As soon as the show goes on the air, it's beaming over the airwaves of the sportsfix.net. So make sure you bookmark it today as well. Holler to everybody listening in Union City, Pennsylvania, live on the radio dial 96.7 WFSN on Saturday morning. Shout out to you guys. I love seeing you guys when you come up to me when I'm wrestling in the area up there in Erie and saying, hey, I listened to you on WFSN. Welcome to you guys, and shout out to the thousands of you listening around the world on digital delay all over, literally, time zones and zip codes and everywhere around the world. Sites like iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio provider, on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, SoundCloud, CarPlay, all of the places that you guys download, feed, subscribe, podcast, do the thing, and get your fix. Welcome in. And again, welcome into everybody checking us out on Facebook Live. Perhaps it's your first opportunity to check out the Sports Fix, and welcome in. And remember, end of this segment, you'll have to follow any of those that I just gave you. TuneIn.com, iHeartRadio, got the live feed, Spreaker, so many different places. You'll have to follow us there and check out the rest of the show. Dan Wismar will be with us just about 20 minutes from now. You guys are already on the phone, so I'm going to take a couple of you here in just a moment. 216-539-7535, the number to call, 216-539-7535. If you can't get through because the lines are full right now, we have a 24-hour hotline. Just leave your take on the line, and we are going to play it right here live on the show the next opportunity I get. So just because you can't get through doesn't mean you can't get through. 216-539-7535. You want to get, hey, many of you listen to the show on your phones and on your mobile devices. That's one of the cool things about the way we are able to distribute this. So if you can't get to the phones, use your social media. Blow it up. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Twitter @TheSportsFixCLE. You can hit me up on my personal Facebook, Jerry Myers. Instagram, Twitter, @J-Rocc Daddy. Email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. Again, all those different ways. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Jerry Myers is my personal profile. Tweet with us @TheSportsFixCLE. You can tweet and Instagram me @JRockDaddy. All different ways. And, of course, the emails, thesportsfix@AOL.com. I'm going to get to the phones, guys, so just sit tight there in just a minute. Couple of things, just, paying some bills and doing some things. The Sports Fix Fantasy Football Challenge, brought to you by FantasyJocks.com, America's fantasy sports superstore. Anything and everything you need, hit them up. FantasyJocks.com. As a matter of fact, a bunch of buddies of mine, we did our yearly live draft last weekend. We used the draft kit that came from Fantasy Jocks, and it was great. They've got them up for 10, 12, 14-team leagues. They come prepackaged with the stickers and the names of every players. If you've ever seen your friends having those cool live drafts and says, how do we do it? Hit up FantasyJocks.com. Plus, hey, I can show it off on Facebook Live. That's right. Got the championship ring from last year, second place. I will admit my man Justin Beavers won the big gold belt, which is sitting back there just out of reach. But the winner of this year's Sports Fix Fantasy Football Challenge is going to receive the big gold championship belt, courtesy of our friends at FantasyJocks.com. And matter of fact, looking at the standings here, there's only 3 teams so far. Good start. However, of course, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. But a couple of teams started off 2-0 in the Sports Fix Fantasy Football Challenge. XPO Truckers, Jonah Knight. Cleveland Saviors are 2-0 on the season. Alphonse Davis, my man Al, and yours truly, Big J-Rocc Daddy, starting off good, but hey, it's a long season to go, and I'm looking forward to following it with you guys. And speaking of fantasy football, my man BJ Rudell, yeah, I see you, Justin, popping up on Facebook Live, letting everybody know that he was the champion last year as I pull my headphones out of my ear. It's all good. And BJ Rudell's going to join us here just about an hour from now, about 45 minutes from now, right after Dan Wismar. BJ will be in the house. We'll talk about all the Week 3 sits and starts and who's the hot tickets this week. Fantasy football guru BJ Rudell will be with us to talk about that. But hey, shout out to you guys. And if you're one of those teams that are 0-2. There's a couple of them early on. You're just an injury or two away from turning that thing around. So keep plugging away. And we're going to talk to BJ about who some of those injury replacements can be. Once again, the Sports Fix Fantasy Football Challenge brought to you by our good friends at fantasyjocks.com. Couple of things real quick. Let's talk about the Tribe for a minute. I got my Indians love here and everybody, feeling it. I see you flexing over there. Indians had been flexing their way into the postseason. 6 games on the magic number, a chance to eliminate Kansas City. But before I get to the down part of the Indians run, man, how about it again last night? Brandon Guyer, a guy who comes over from an afterthought team. He comes here, his first chance to play in this type of atmosphere. His season completely turns around. Not only is he the master of getting hit by pitches, we all know that story, but he gets his first game ender last night. And once again, the Tribe has that late inning magic that they have not had since them 90s teams, 95 in particular. You know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to overhype it. And I know that when you lose your 2 and 3 starters in the same 10-day period, that is a recipe for a tough run in the postseason. But there's something about this team. I'm telling you, they continue to do it in those come-from-behind ways that are they're intangible, guys. It's not just about the players on the field. There's something cooking here, and I've got a feeling that anybody that wrote off the Tribe, and I don't blame you. Hey, losing Salazar is bad enough, and then you lose Carrasco. I mean, the way, too, a line drive takes the hand out right away. I mean, come on. I get it if you go, man, that's a tough one. And if the Indians can't overcome that is a definite reason. I mean, look at the Cavs of just 2 years ago. It's, I'm not making pre-existing excuses because I'll tell you what, you shorten the rotation. Callaway was already talking about it. You shorten the rotation up and you put, you get longer innings. You get Kluber, I'm telling you now, Corey Kluber will turn into the Klubot in the postseason. If you need him out there every third or fourth day, he'll do it if he needs to until the arm falls off. Same thing with Trevor Bauer. I mean, he's got miles and miles to give on that arm, and the postseason is where you do it. And Josh Tomlin, don't write him off. While of course you liked the way the rotation was going to line up before, he has pitched in some big opportunities for the Tribe, and he has come big, and he's come up rough. So, but in that position, third or fourth starter there, I think you definitely can lean on him. And besides that, the Indians' bullpen is starting to really get things cooking. I mean, I think this is one of those teams that doesn't have a consistent way to win in the postseason. What makes this team as big as any other team as far as a chance to make something happen is that they can win each game in the postseason a different way, and they only need to score 1 run more than the other team. They can win a game on Kluber. He can go out there and just give you a complete game and shut the other team down. You can turn it over to the bullpen, and these guys can go 10 innings for you if they need to. Look what just happened the other day. That bullpen came out and made that win happen after what could have been a tragic, well, was tragic still to lose Cookie that way, but look at what that bullpen did. So your pen can help you. You got guys, obviously, you got the big guns. Santana had his 33rd home run. Napoli, you've got guys who can carry you with the bat for a game or two or a series. You've got young guys like Lindor. I mean, there's just so much. And then guys like Brandon Guyer contributing when so many different people contribute. And I bet you if you took every one of the Indians wins, and I haven't done this yet, I'm being lazy, but if you took every one of the Indians wins and you looked and tried to make a list of who was like the key guy, the key contributor to that one, the list would have everybody on the team multiple times, and that is what I like about the Indians' chances. It still sucks to lose those guys like that. I mean, come on, and then you get it, when you're starting to get it handed to you, you get it handed to you. They thought maybe Gomes was going to work his way back, and he gets a broken hand while he's trying to come back from the shoulder, but all that being said, from day one, losing Brantley and coming through that and everything this team has dealt with, I just think that the depth of this team and their ability to do it from so many different places really does give them every bit of an opportunity. I know Paul Hoynes doesn't agree. The beat writer from the Plain Dealer got himself all kinds of heat with Indians players and fans and everybody this week when he wrote off the Indians, called it the night that the Indians' World Series dreams died the other day. Jason Kipnis told him to stay home and stop covering the team for the rest of the season if that's the case. And I will give Hoynes credit. He put his article out here this morning, standing up for his decision. But that same thing being said, he didn't stand up for it the next day. He didn't go to the ballpark because he knew they were looking for him. That was kind of a punk move there. But it is what it is. I don't want to rail on it because you guys know how I feel about the Plain Dealer as it is and the quality of what it is now compared to what it used to be. But I disagree with him, and I think a lot of Indians fans do too, and this team is going to continue to prove a lot of people wrong. Right now, the march to the division title, first since 2007, and they have a 6-game magic number and a chance tonight to not only chip away at the magic number, but eliminate the old favorite foe, the Kansas City Royals. After taking care of a little bit of Tigers business over the weekend, Indians' final homestand of the season, and then well, we'll see where we go from here. But I am very much looking forward to the postseason with the Cleveland Indians. Browns, that's a whole nother story, and we're going to get into a whole bunch of that. Can you believe they're down to their third quarterback already? Of course you can. This is the Browns we're talking about. Fifth quarterback in 5 games if you go back to 2 games ago to last season. Unbelievable, or not. And it's... even if you want to see what young Cody Kessler can do, it's quite a bit scary to think of what other teams can do to him with that offensive line that has just gotten these quarterbacks battered. And real quick, before I talk about the Browns in any kind of a win-loss, any of that breaking it down way, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I told somebody last night, to me, Josh McCown is the toughest player to ever play the quarterback position. I don't want to disrespect anybody that won a lot of games, but I'm just talking about tough sons of guns. Man, Josh McCown is up there. The beatings that he took last year with this team, and to see him the other day, he's out there. Come on, you guys. And I can do this on Facebook Live because you could see me. It looked like he's holding his groin. I thought his groin was hurt because his arm's hanging down so far down. No, it's his shoulder, and he kept going back in there. And then when you listen to his press conference, bro, if you can't respect Josh McCown after listening to what he said about why he kept playing, because his team needed him, and that's a football player, that's a quarterback, and that's a leader. And nobody can ever call Josh McCown anything short of one of the toughest football players I've ever seen. That being said, they let him get murdered back there, man. He took shot after shot after shot, and young Cody Kessler is about to learn under fire. I don't know if the kid's got potential or not, but I don't know if we're going to get a chance to find out. I'm not even going to get started until Dan joins us, talk about the Baltimore debacle. It's a buddy of mine described it like, he said, man, it's almost like they got up real quick, and then somebody said, hey, now, guys, we're not trying to actually win games here. And then all of a sudden you could just see it coming back. Harvey over there in the chat room says he's a tough dude. Yes, Josh McCown is a tough dude, and he'll be back. He'll be back until they break him again, because that's what he does. But I hope that it doesn't happen again, because the Browns signed Clipboard Jesus this week. They got Charlie Whitehurst, professional backup quarterback extraordinaire, to come in here and back things up. And you know what? The offensive line is going to be an even more shambles. I mean, we haven't even started talking about Cam Irving and his injury going down. I mean, the Browns, the rails have come off this thing already, with the potential for it to get worse. I'll talk more about that in a minute, but I've literally only got about 6 minutes, and I want to get at least one phone call in here. So pardon me, too. I'll have to switch things over because I want to make it so that the Facebook Live audience can hear this as well. So I'm going to switch over here, and I'm going to go to the phones. Caller, you are first up on the Sports Fix.
J-Rocc Daddy.
Hey, what's up? This is my man, LG. What's happening, baby?
I'll tell you, J-Rocc Daddy, you talk about that Hoynes in the Plain Dealer. You're lucky that they even put an Indian story in the Plain Dealer with the Browns playing. Even if the Browns stink it up like we've seen year after year after year, they take up most of the sports section, man. We're lucky that they covered anything on the Indians, who are about to go and win the AL Central for the first time since, 2007? J-Rocc.
Yeah, I'm with you, LG. I'm just having a hard time going back and forth and letting the Facebook people listen as well. So go ahead and make your point, and then I'll go ahead and chime in when you're done.
I like that show being live on Facebook, J-Rocc Daddy. I think you look good over there, man. Who's that behind you on the wall? Is that my man Mook Williams? Not Mook Williams, but you know who I mean, from the Cavs. Can you hear me, J-Rocc Daddy?
I hear you, LG.
We're getting some kind of feedback and stuff, man. Hey, listen to this, J-Rocc Daddy. The Cleveland Browns aren't going to have enough quarterbacks to make it through this 2016 NFL season with the offensive line that we got. We are in big trouble. They better go out and find a few other guys besides Whitehurst, man, because I said at the beginning of the year, man, we don't have enough quarterbacks to make it through the season. Can you hear me, J-Rocc?
Oh, we lost him. All right, we'll try to get LG back in on there. I don't know what's going on there. 216-539-7535, the number to call. 216-539-7535. Matter of fact, while we were on the phone, got a call on the hotline. I'm going to go ahead and try to take that now, you guys. Hang on one second. Caller, you're up on the sport. Having absolutely no success on the phone lines today. That's fine. We're going to go ahead and continue rolling on. 216-539-7535. Leave your message on the take line, and I'll hit that up in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and take a break. I want to get the news, and I want to get Dan Wismar in on the conversation because I want to talk a little bit more about this. Hey, we haven't even touched on the Buckeyes yet. Tons of things to get into. Dan Wismar, sports writer extraordinaire, my main man. He's going to join us here in just a moment. First, we're going to get you some news. On the other side of that, we're going to talk about the Indians. What does Dan think has happened to the Indians' chances here of making things happen? Not only that, we'll talk Browns. What happens next? Cody Kessler, does he have a chance? And as my man LG said in his unsuccessful phone call attempt, do they have enough quarterback? I don't think they do. Michael Vick's going to end up playing on this team before the season's over with. Anyways, we're going to take a break. Sit tight. Don't go anywhere. If you're listening on Facebook Live, you guys got to go. Join us on TuneIn, tunein.com. Find the Sports Fix. Go on Mixler. Go on Spreaker.com. Search for the Sports Fix. Pretty easy to find. Or just jump on our website, thesportsfix.net. You can keep listening to the rest of the show live, and there won't be any technical difficulty. The only reason there is when I'm trying to put it live because it's impossible for you guys to hear the radio stuff unless I put it out over the speakers. Anyways, that problem ends. Thank you guys for joining us on Facebook. Hit us up, thesportsfix.net. We're going to say hasta la vista, baby, to you guys, and we're going to take a break. When we come back after the news, Dan Wismar joins us. Then we're talking fantasy football with BJ Rudell and so much more. You are listening to the Sports Fix, baby, and we have only just begun to fight.
Revolution, I suppose. We're painted red to fit right in. Whoa, whoa. I'm breaking in, shaping up, then checking out on the prison bus. This is it.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
Throwing you the best sports commentary in town. The Sports Fix.
Hey guys, before we go to the break, I want to talk to you a little bit again about our good friends at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championships, some of the hottest fights in the world today. Each and every one of their huge events, Harry Buffalo is one of the few places in Northeast Ohio you can go there and watch each and every UFC fight at the Harry Buffalo. And let me tell you, I've been there. The people are out the door. They are to the rafters. It is one of the craziest environments for some UFC fights. Wing Mondays, they've got great deals on wings and drinks, and every day of the week there's a different special, a different deal. And don't forget the Bison Burger, the unbelievable. It is the combination of a fantastic burger and eating healthy combined into one unbelievable sandwich. You have got to get a Bison Burger while you're there. So whatever you're looking for, whatever day of the week, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sundays, there's something for you at the Harry Buffalo North Olmsted, just outside Great Northern Mall. Check them out today. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Sports Fix listeners, like us on Facebook today. Facebook.com/The Sports Fix. Fantasy sports lovers, you put so much time, hard work, and effort into playing week to week that it quickly stops being a fantasy and starts getting real. Real time spent making real decisions, creating real victory.
I'm the greatest man in the world!
And when the smoke clears, you want to show off those victories with a real prize. I mean, a really real prize. Nobody does that like Fantasy Jocks. The crew over at Fantasy Jocks have beautiful, high-quality, and heavy-duty championship belts, rings, trophies, and so much more for all your fantasy sports needs.
The trophy's 12 feet high, and it is glorious.
Football, baseball, hoops, you name it, they have it. Plus, they have awesome draft kits and party supplies to make all your preseason activities the envy of everyone. If your league needs a ring, belt, or trophy, or you want to upgrade what you already have, there's literally only one place to go. If you're going to be a fantasy jock, do it right.
It's mine, the most magnificent belt ever created, and it's mine.
With America's fantasy sports superstore, fantasyjocks.com. No football? No problem at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. The excitement never stops. Every day of the week brings a different set of food and amazing drink specials.
And now,
fans, Harry Buffalo North Olmsted is the home for every UFC pay-per-view live on the big screens.
let's get it all!
And let's not forget their mouth-watering trademark, the Bison Burger.
They sure are good.
Nobody does bison like Harry Buffalo. The perfect combination of healthy and delicious.
Hey there, eat up, y'all. You's as good church-going folk. Y'all deserve a little treat.
What are you waiting for? Get to Harry Buffalo, just outside Great Northern Mall today. Harry Buffalo. Join the herd. Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Visit fantasyjocks.com, your fantasy sports superstore. Championship belts, rings, trophies, and more.
Hey, Cleveland, this is Tristan Thompson of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you're listening to Sports Fix.
Love is like a bomb, 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 bomb.
News break.
Good morning, I'm Doug Brown. ESPN's Ed Werder reports Vikings running back Adrian Peterson is still deliberating his treatment options for that torn right meniscus. Peterson is expected to miss at least Sunday's game against the Panthers. The Lions put running back Amir Abdullah on IR with a left foot injury. He'll be out at least 8 weeks. Abdullah got hurt Sunday against the Titans. Giants shortstop Brandon Crawford had to leave last night's game against the Dodgers with a dislocated little finger on his left hand. Crawford got hurt on a headfirst slide into third. Giants starter Johnny Cueto also left that game. He's day-to-day with a left groin strain. The Giants and Dodgers are featured in the back half of a Wednesday night doubleheader on ESPN. At 7 Eastern, the Red Sox and Orioles in Baltimore. Then the Giants and Dodgers in Los Angeles, including a Vin Scully tribute as he moves toward the finish line in his remarkable career. In the World Cup of Hockey today, Team North America against Sweden at 3 Eastern on ESPN. Then Canada against Europe, 8 Eastern on ESPN2.
Sometimes kickoff comes early. At Hampton by Hilton, that's when they run the option. Take your pick of free hot breakfast for here or breakfast on the run bags to go. Because tailgate waits for no fan. Book at Hampton.com for a guaranteed discount.
Hey, Cleveland, this is Tristan Thompson of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you're listening to Sports Fix.
Love is like a bomb, 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 bomb,
There we go. Welcome back live to the Sports Fix. J-Rocc Daddy in the house, and welcome all of you perhaps for listening on Facebook Live. You're joining us now on the radio waves. We are off the TV. We are live. Yeah, I got a face for radio. I don't care what you said. I heard a couple people say, J-Rocc, you look great on the screen. I'm made for radio, baby, and so is my man Dan Wismar, who is getting ready to join me on the phone lines here, and we are going to talk some Tribe. Where are their chances in Dan's mind? Like I said, you heard what I thought at the beginning. It's the way this team is made up. There's a lot more than just a a few pieces here, and I think because of that, we're going to see some great things in the postseason from the Tribe. Can't wait to see what Dan thinks. Also going to talk Browns. The wheels are already off the bus, and it's still got to go round and round about 14 more times. So we're going to talk that. Buckeyes continue to impress early in the season, and so much more, guys. You guys can keep the conversation rolling. What do you think about the Tribe's chances? What do you think about the what do you think about the Browns? Oh, whatever. Buckeyes, Cavs coming around, whatever you got, lay them on us. And fantasy football questions for BJ Rudell, because he'll be up just about 35 minutes from now. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Twitter @TheSportsFixCLE. Email us, TheSportsFix@AOL.com. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Twitter @TheSportsFixCLE. Email TheSportsFix at AOL.com. Can't go to the phones because that is where my man Dan Wismar lies, but you can leave a recorded take now. 216-539-7535. 216-539-7535. And I will open the phones back up in the tail end of the show after BJ Rudell. But right now, hitting the hotline, hitting my man Dan Wismar. Dan, how you doing today, baby?
I'm doing great, J-Rocc. Good to be with you.
Good to have you back with us. Have everything working. We're not on the cell phone this week. We're not having phone problems. Everything's working, man. Everything's working.
Sounds great. Did I hear you say that I have a face for radio? That's what I thought I heard you say.
Well, I was talking about me, but we're both in the same boat here, my friend.
Yes, we are. Okay. No problem with that. Truth hurts. So where are we? I mean, it's been a while since we talked, my friend. We got a lot of stuff to go over. Maybe we start with the bad stuff, get it out of the way.
Well,
what do you say we talk some Browns?
I don't know if I want to go there just yet. Can we talk a little bit about the Tribe, my man?
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Let's talk some. We'll save the Browns for the back end just in case we get short on time. How about that? You know,
that's a plan.
That's the plan. That's the way all sports radio should be. Let's put the front burner first and the stuff that maybe we'll get around to later, because we got 13, 14 more go-arounds with that atrocity that we're watching over there. Let's talk about the Tribe. And obviously, if you're looking for the downside of the Tribe story, which to me, I think it's going to show the strength of this team. I talked about it in the opening segment. Didn't know if you had a chance to hear, but I think that the strength of this team is that if you were to take every win, and I haven't done this, and I think we should do this maybe before next week, and look at who you would give like the primary, credit for those victories for, it would be spread up and down throughout this roster like few teams have, and I think that is the strength. But I mean, we lose 2 and 3 starters in the rotation within a 9 or 10 day period, and that's obviously a blow. But are you going all Hoynesy on us here, or where are you at on the Tribe's postseason chances?
Well, I'm sure not going all Hoynesy, and I think that's really kind of an awful position to take for a beat writer.
Yes,
for the
me
team.
too.
I mean, I'm sure he's probably kicking himself because he's taken so much heat for that since he said it. But for me, that's an opinion for a Bud Shaw column.
Yes.
But and no, I'm not nearly that pessimistic because, like you say, this has been the old cliche is somebody different every night, but really. It's been the way this team has functioned all year. I mean, you're getting contributions from guys like Naquin and Jose Ramirez and things that you never expected to have. You never expected to even be this close with Brantley out all year, and who would have predicted it? So it's very hard to, and there's something intangible. There's something special going on down there now.
Right.
It occurred to me that maybe this team, the analogy of this team to the 2014-2015 Cavs might be appropriate, where
I mentioned that. Yeah,
you could see this team, limping into the playoffs, kind of like the Cavs limped into the playoffs a year ago without Love and Kyrie, and then came back, with those guys healthy the following year to win it all. You could see a scenario where this team comes back strong next year with if they do fade and fold, they come back next year with Carrasco and Salazar and Brantley and a bunch of other people and win it wire to wire. But let's not go there yet. I mean,
no.
The analogy might be sound, but we're not done here. And we're getting some good performances lately out of Tomlin and Clevenger too has looked good. I wish Tito would let him go more than 4 innings. Time to I think maybe cut Clevenger loose a little bit. And I'm not a big fan, Jerry, of these bullpen games where you have somebody pitch 2 innings and they have 7 more guys pitch 1 inning apiece. I was at the game Saturday when they did just that and had 9 pitchers combined for a shutout. I believe a major league record, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah,
let me ask you a question about that, though. I know what you're saying, but part of it, at least this is the way I feel as watching it, and I wonder if it's not the same being in it and playing and all of that, and for the other teams that you play, putting it in their mind. But man, there's something to me intimidating if I'm another team about a team's ability to do that at the same time. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, sure, and it was a requirement after
Carrasco, right? Absolutely, yeah.
Two pitches into the game, he's done. And I'm thinking, I'm sitting next to a couple Tiger fans that day and last Saturday, and we're talking all during the game, and I was whining a little bit, about Tito, and he'd have a guy give him a good inning, and then he'd pull him, or guy looks good for an inning and a third, and then Tito's out there taking out of the game. And I'm thinking, man, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, Tito. And so after the game, when we pitch a 10-inning shutout with 9 pitchers, I was walking out of the stadium, and my sister's at the game with me, and I said to her, she's as big a Tribe fan as I am, and I said, Barb, okay, so maybe Tito knows a little bit more about baseball than I do. I'm making that concession after he has his relief corps of 13 guys, pitch a 10-inning shutout after your starter's gone 2 pitches into the game. So I guess I got to give him that. Okay, Tito, you're smarter than me, man. Nice job. But it still kind of makes me crazy when you think that you got Percy Garner or some guy I never heard of 30 days ago pitching in a game in the middle of a pennant race. And yet I hear Tito after the game basically making his case for that. He basically says, hey, you've got the younger guys. You don't want to give the younger guys the message that you don't trust them in a big game. They're learning things out there. He's growing from that. He's now more prepared to go out and win a game for you next week or a week after that or whatever. Probably not on the playoff roster, but he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's got a strategy behind it. So hard to fault that, especially when the results are like they were the other day.
And let me ask you, because I don't know what the latest you may have heard as far as the possibility of getting Salazar back at some point in this playoff run. I mean, that possibility does exist.
That's my understanding. That it was supposed to be a 3 to 4 week thing, maybe a week or so ago, and so you'd think that. I don't know what you have to do roster wise. I'm not up on those. I mean,
I would think you'd have to go without him. Obvious, you'd have to sacrifice him for the first round of the playoffs. But clearly, then even if he comes back 2 or 3 games into the second round, you would have to put him on your playoff roster there, right?
You'd think, and like I said, I just don't know what the regulations are regarding that. Do you have to have him on at the very beginning, or do you have to play 1 pitcher short in anticipation of adding him sometime later? I don't know what those rules are, but you'd think you'd sure want to have him if indeed this is something that is rehabable, if that's a word, in that short amount of time.
So what do you think? Obviously that, and if I'm the Indians, first off, that's something as a player that I look to. It's not as dreary as some people may look at it, but either way, I mean, I think talking about the Hoynesy thing and tying this kind of all in together there, I think it had the effect of bolstering these guys together. I mean, you could see Kipnis and some other guys got pretty fired up about things as it is, but again, I think the whole team looks at it like, hey, this is a 1 through 25 and then some. This is 1 through 40 sometimes over here. Yeah,
and I think there's a certain amount of motivation from that. I'm not so sure I'm ready to say that Paul Hoynes had that much of an impact on what how the Indians are playing.
No, not at all. Not at all.
There's concern about that road batting average. I mean, this team has the lowest road batting average in Major League Baseball. So I sure hope that they have this magic number whittled down to like 1 or lower before they leave town for those last 7 games. I think we can take the measure of the White Sox, pay them back for that trip to Chicago last week, and hopefully in 4 games with them and 2 more with the Royals, we can get this thing knocked down so that we're not having to go out on the road and win a bunch of games in that final week against our 2 division rivals. because we have struggled so badly on the road to score runs. One thing that occurred to me, though, Jerry, I was talking to another writer the other day doing a podcast with a friend and talking about, this team and how they don't really have the intimidating offensive lineup that you see in our American League playoff brothers, presumably the Red Sox and the Rangers, possibly Toronto or somebody like that in the mix. We don't really stack up 1 through 9 in the lineup with those guys. And yet, this team somehow, doing it with mirrors or doing it with just 230 home run guys or whatever, have the second most runs scored in the American League, in addition to having the best earned run average staff ERA in the league. So it's not all pitching that got us where we are. I'm still scratching my head a little bit to figure out how with this lineup and without Michael Brantley that we scored the second most runs. We're about 100 runs behind the Red Sox, but we're still in second place in the league in runs scored. So it's not just pitching that got us here. And the margin of victories have been more than anybody expected. Here's a team with 80-some wins, Jerry, with Cody Allen only has, 30-some, low 30s in save opportunities. So there's more games than not. We haven't even had a save opportunity in the game to deal with. So that's remarkable. It's just one of the things looking back on the season that has me still kind of scratching my head.
I'm with you. And you bring up that road batting average and that at the same time with that, and this gives me hope as well looking ahead, is that they're still 500 team on the road even with that, which shows
right.
that they have the ability to overcome that, because we've seen they can win these 1-0 games, these 2-1 games. Last night, again, was just kind of the example of how things go for this team and how they just find a way. That 9th inning was ridiculous. They just found a way.
Yeah, exactly. And the ball, that's the kind of
off
stuff
the
that makes
foot
you think,
and all.
The ball off the foot and then the ball that, in right field that lands, 6 inches inside the foul
line? Right.
And the guy misses it by just a hair, and there's 2 outs and 2 strikes on the guy. And it's just, he gets an outside pitch, he takes it the other way, and Geyer's been such a big acquisition for this team, it's hard to believe. I mean, you think about the contributions, not huge contributions, but better than you expected. And you can go up and down the lineup from Naquin to Rajay Davis to Brandon Geyer to Jeff Manship and Dan Otero, guys that have just been nothing but solid, all year long. I mean, Dan Otero, are you kidding me?
Right.
The year he's having, it's incredible. So, it's that's where you win, I guess, is when you make front office acquisitions that don't make headlines, but that make real contributions and measurable contributions on the field. And boy, they've done a great job of that this year. And call it luck or call it just being smarter than the other guy, you got to give Antonetti some credit for the guys like Manship and Otero and Geyer and obviously Naquin's been in the organization, but giving him his shot and having it come up roses.
Right, like Geyer last night. My timeline blows up. Twitter, everybody's all up and happy, and I'm like, boy, I sure remember the night we signed this guy. They weren't all happy.
On who?
Yeah, what? Why we? Typical cheap Dolan signing. Yeah, and then look at this guy, man. He has contributed in many ways. Kind of like what's that Ramirez guy? Kind of filled a few roles here this season, wouldn't you say? My goodness, man.
Yeah, he's got to be MVP. If Napoli's not the MVP, certainly Ramirez is.
For sure.
Clutch performances, and here's a guy who comes into the season as a utility infielder and ends up not only being your regular third baseman, but hitting 300. You're being your best clutch hitter, playing as many as 5 positions on the field. He's kind of settled into one now, obviously, but. Can play 5 positions for you. He's the only major league player who's hit in every spot in the batting order this year. How could you ask more of the guy? And he just had his 24th birthday. So he's going to get nothing but better.
I agree, man. There's a lot of those. A lot of those going to get nothing but better here on this team, which again, too, is why this run is going to be so much fun to watch. I mean, obviously they've got to get there, but magic number down to 6 and counting, and hopefully by the time we reconvene next week, we will have a much more definite talk about the postseason.
Yeah, sounds good. Looking forward to it. Looks like it'll probably be Boston. I mean, although with 12 games to go, Jerry, I guess that playoff order in terms of home field really could go any one of the three ways right now.
Yeah.
We're only, a game or two behind Texas, and Boston only a game behind us. So a lot can change in the last dozen games.
Absolutely. Texas right now sits 90-62. Boston is 87-64. Tribe is 87-63. So really, there's still a whole lot in play there as far as the matchups and all of that, and the wild cards as well. It's going to be a lot of fun down this tail stretch of baseball, not just for the Tribe, but for everybody else. And Lord, we need that, because that's about the only source of fun until Cavs season starts if you're looking for sports around here, because it took, 2 weeks for not only the wheels to fall off the Browns wagon, but for it to do it in typical Browns fashion. I mean, the offensive line, as we knew, had trouble and fell apart. It cost them one quarterback. It cost them another quarterback. And when you get Josh McCown hurt, that's a tough guy to hurt. It takes a lot to take that guy out. And now the rookie's going to get his shot. Charlie Whitehurst is here. We may end up seeing LG called earlier and said we don't have enough quarterbacks to last the season. This is going to get ugly quickly. I mean, I guess I'd start there. What about the quarterbacks? How about Josh McCown, first off? Does he not get up there and you're voting for one of the toughest Browns players, just period, ever? Because that guy, he's got my respect, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, it's interesting. We talked last time when we were on the air talking about Tim Couch and what a tough guy he was, and how he kept getting up after just suffering brutal beatings week in, week out for year in, year out. And yeah, McCown, now he was featured yesterday. I listened to Mike and Mike on my way into work, and they were talking about McCown, playing that soundbite of him, talking about, just I want to be out there with my guys.
Right.
And,
right.
My windows, only open for a short time, and all this stuff. And they were just ranting and raving about that's got to be the epitome of the team guy, the tough guy, and playing it on a national radio broadcast. Given the props to McCown for that. A couple things, though, about the Browns game and the game Sunday.
Let's do it.
Of course, I was there. I ended up screaming myself hoarse at the end because I really thought, first of all, a terribly officiated game, and once again proving that there's a set of rules for 31 teams and then a set of rules for the Browns.
And let me jump in there real quick. I agree with you.
What people are allowed to do.
I agree with you there, and I am not making excuses. Those guys had a 20-point lead, and they gave it all away, but that was kind of horse crap at the end. I mean, he was not taunting the guy. He was trying to get the ball back to the official. It was clear as day. I mean, the commentators, everybody in the building, everybody saw it was a hose call on the Browns. I mean, they lost the game, but that was a huge play, obviously. I mean, puts them right down there with some time to play, and instead they get knocked back and they have a much longer attempt at the conversion. They can't get anything to happen. I thought that was a hose job. But anyway.
That, Jerry, and the general treatment of, the NFL is
quarterback.
All adamant about protecting quarterbacks unless you have an orange hat on.
Nobody protected Josh McCown, that's for sure,
exactly.
Man.
You're allowed to do whatever you want to the Browns quarterback. He can give himself up, he's lying on the ground, and two guys can then land on him, and take shots at him, and that's cool. Shots after the ball is released, knocking him around like a rag doll. That's cool if you got an orange hat on. It makes me nuts. It makes me crazy. That said, now, you can't blame the RG3 injury on the offensive line, okay? Right. That was another late shot. Hey, he's out of bounds, but so what? You got an orange hat on. A guy's allowed to put his helmet in your chest across the sideline and knock you down and separate your left shoulder. But that wasn't a hit that the offensive line allowed. He was running around the right end, and that shot happened at the sideline out of bounds. But that's not the issue. I remember before the season started, you asked me, what are the chances that RG3 plays all 16 games? And I kind of laughed, and now the question does seem laughable now, doesn't it?
You know what question seems laughable now? Will any quarterback play 2 games this season for the Browns? Will this be the year they go through 16 quarterbacks?
Yeah, right.
Look at the offensive line. Dan, you lose Irving, who wasn't exactly, Alex Mack there to begin with. He's still finding his way, and you continue to shuffle guys around and. At this early point in the season.
where is the situation with Cam Irving in terms of prognosis on him?
I don't even know I know that they signed a replace the what's his name? Goodness gracious, I don't have it in front of me.
Matthews?
Yeah. When they signed Whitehurst as well, they signed the replacement there. But
okay, I hadn't heard about that. They didn't bring back the Matthews kid, I assume.
No.
Someone else that they didn't have in camp previously.
So I'm not sure.
For the center, I mean. That's what I was thinking.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, anyway, and frankly, I thought that the team played, even though they gave up a 20-point lead Sunday, the team played better. The defense definitely played better. The defense was competitive the entire game. I thought Shelton played well. I thought Kirksey played well. I thought some of the young defensive linemen were doing well. They didn't have wide receivers run wide open all game long. You can definitely see the defense taking a step up and improving quite a bit from week one. Am I right, or was I looking through the brown-colored glasses?
I did. I'm with you there. Let's talk a little bit about the game. And by the way, the status I was trying to find. When you got two screens and 57 things open, I couldn't. I had all the Browns injury stuff. As of now, the last Coach Jackson talked about was Nassib and Irving are both doubtful for the game on Sunday. So
okay.
And when they're doubtful this late in the week, it's usually rare that they get upgraded. He could, however, seeing it's your starting center, obviously you'll probably wait as long as humanly possible to declare him out. But I got to say, you're talking a pulmonary, what did they call it? A pulmonary contusion? That's some stuff I don't mess with.
Lung, right? That's, in English, a bruised lung, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much what you got right there. And so obviously you worry about a further injury, turning it into a collapsed lung and whatnot. So I could see them erring on the side of caution there as far as that goes.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But yeah, going back to the defense. You were asking about the defense. Sorry, we're over top of each other. But going back to the defense, I thought, you definitely saw some bigger plays. I mean, I can't even tell you the last time I remember Joe Hayden having 2 picks in one game, although he also got burned on a couple too, to where the one interception, I'm like, that was making up for that play where he got toasted on the other end. But I thought in general, you definitely saw some uptick from the defense in week 2 and seeing some guys maybe react faster as they get, kind of used to the scheme and the rotations and stuff. So I do think there's definitely potential for growth there. And I mean, offensively too, you see bright spots in between the really bad stuff.
Yeah, and that's true. And of course, one thing that struck me, first of all, the one thing that struck me, even from the time I was walking into the stadium, was the attitude of the crowd. There was a real buzz. There was a real upbeat, positive, enthusiastic approach. Now, I understand it's the home opener. You got a little bit of that. But it was unusual, unusually, positive and pumped up. The crowd was really zinging right from the start. And then the team came out hot, put a real charge into them, and the team really did seem to be playing with a little spring in their step that we haven't seen. Sometimes we haven't seen it for seasons at a time. But they did seem to be playing. And I tell you, and I don't know if you could tell it from watching it on TV, but, that blocked extra point, you're about to go up 21-0, all of a sudden it's 20-2. Every single Browns fan, and I'm putting myself in the same category, said right at that time to themselves, if not to their people they were with, that's it. That's how they're going to lose it. It's going to be a 2-point game. That 2 points is going to matter in the fourth quarter, or that 3-point swing is going to be the difference. And frankly, it was when it came down to it. We wouldn't have had to score a touchdown at the end instead of a field goal if that hadn't happened. Still, the Browns still also managed to do a couple of stupid things. So with young players, Corey Coleman's penalty could have cost them points. I believe it was shortly after he did that, though, that he caught the long touchdown pass. Am I right? After he had the 15-yard penalty for taking a shot at the guy's head. And then Pryor again, even though, it was Pryor's penalty that took him out of field goal range early when he committed pass interference in the first quarter. They made up for that one with the touchdown pass to Coleman. And then it was Coleman's play later that took them out of field goal range, cost them the 3 points when they missed the longer field goal attempt. So again, you're talking about Browns figuring out Brownsy ways to mess up and cost them a game. But I was impressed by the attitude, a little bit of playing with some emotion, at least during the game, and something we haven't always seen.
Dan Wismar joining us here on the Sports Fix. J-Rocc with him. We're talking a little bit about the Browns, and looking at that now. Okay, going forward, there's no reason to keep kicking that dog there. They've got
no reason to go back.
A Week 3 matchup coming up here. 2 undefeated teams. One of them is going to turn that around here. You got the Dolphins. Obviously there's some things you worry about on that. You got your buddy Jordan Cameron over there, but Devontae Parker, he's a beast on offense. Joe Hayden, I think, will have his hands full with the second-year wide receiver there. But defensively, they got Kiko Alonso. I mean, they got Williams. They got some guys there that can make it happen. So I think that the Dolphins are going to really put some heat on Cody Kessler.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, is Cameron Wade still in an NFL uniform? I mean, that guy had a career day against us last time we played the Dolphins.
And, of course, you can't forget about Ndamukong Suh. I mean, he's going to have his way with that offensive line,
Yeah, exactly. It could be just a brutal day down there. Obviously, they're in a must-win situation. They're playing at home. And 2 words, Cody Kessler. I think right now, and I think you have to look at, we talked a little bit a couple of weeks ago about the Carson Wentz situation. I think right now, after 2 weeks of Carson Wentz, you got to say, hey, Hugh and Sashi, we defended you guys a year ago when you decided that you didn't want the number 2 pick because you didn't think that Carson Wentz was your guy for the long term. Carson Wentz looked pretty damn good for a couple of weeks. The guy is calm. He's accurate throwing the ball. He's got a nice arm. He's tough. He's resilient. He gets up when he gets knocked down. He doesn't get snapped in half like our quarterbacks. You got to be thinking, hey, Hugh, maybe the Browns have Brownsed it one more time, not only with not picking Carson Wentz, but picking a guy like Cody Kessler over a guy like Dak Prescott, who went around later and looks like he's all world in Dallas. So it's just this team with their quarterback judgment has a history that's just miserable no matter who's running the show.
Did you hear the stories, by the way, that were floating around? And again, I don't know, where there's smoke, where there's fire, but the stories floating around about the Browns, the arguments with the scouts, and then firing everybody that didn't agree with the Jared Goff assessment when they were trying to analyze the quarterbacks before the draft. And anytime I hear stuff like that, I go, man, I'm not a fan of the people that aren't scouts monkeying around with the people whose job it is all year long to look at these guys play football.
Yeah, that's true. And you wonder now, we clearly know that it was Hugh making the pick of Cody Kessler.
Absolutely.
What we don't really know for sure is whether it was Hugh making the decision to pass on Wentz, unless that has been clear in some report I haven't seen. But yeah, you're right. At least maybe now, if it was Sashi Brown and DePodesta and Jackson making the calls on both Wentz and Kessler, maybe now can we readjust things? And were you guys willing to admit that, hey, maybe you were wrong, and maybe let the player personnel professionals make that call? I mean, now obviously DePodesta is the player personnel professional, but will there be adjustments made? Will there be admissions of being wrong? And will we learn anything going forward about how to pick that guy that's the quarterback of the future? Whether we're looking at next year, it's going to be talk about, well, is it Deshaun Watson or is it Deshaun Kaiser? I've heard people say Kaiser's the lead pipe cinch number 1 pick in the NFL draft next year, the kid from Notre Dame. Love the athlete there, but again, there's so much else that goes into it. But bottom line is, we're going to be having the same conversation again when April and May rolls around and it's draft time.
Hey, man, it's year 5 of the 50-year plan, man, or whatever.
That's right.
We're going to do this again. All right. I know we're short on time here, Dan. Didn't even get a chance to talk much about the Buckeyes. I'd like to get more into them here next week as a definite, obviously, to be expected, but a good, strong start to the season here from these guys.
Oh, no doubt, Jerry. And of course, they legitimize themselves. If there were doubters, well, there are no more doubters. I mean, Oklahoma.
That was a good win over Oklahoma, man.
They've got a bad defense, and we know that. But so many weapons with the Buckeyes. They really went down and put it on them down there, and it wasn't just squeaking out with a road win over a top 10 team. It was hammering a team that was rated number 3 in the country coming into the year, and making a no-doubter statement about it. We've got some tough, games ahead, and not just the Michigan teams. But I mean, they got to travel to Wisconsin. They got to go to Penn State. They play in East Lansing this year. So it's a long way to go. I don't really still expect the Buckeyes to go undefeated, just because 128 teams played their schedules last year and not one of them went undefeated. It's just too damn hard to do. But they certainly have the talent to win all 12 of their games and probably will now be favored in all of them. So it's going to be a fun ride.
Absolutely, and we're going to follow it. We'll talk more about it next week. We'll see what happens as the Browns go to Miami and they take their talents or lack thereof down to Miami. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, hey, listen, when you're playing a team that's also down against it, you've got to try to get those wins. But they look at a team like the Browns, and going well that they're down there going, all right, guys, this is where our turnaround starts here with the Browns. I do think that there's just too much firepower on the Dolphins. I think Tannehill, they've got some offensive stuff going. I think our defense can stick with it a little bit, but defensively, they've got guys who get after the quarterback, and clearly that is one of the problems with the Browns is protecting that man with the football. Cody Kessler, Lord help you, man. I hope you have a great debut, and I hope we're talking about, boy, you remember the debut of Cody Kessler, but he's got his work cut out for him. And then, of course, the Tribe. Hopefully, by the time you and I talk, we may even have that magic number down to 0 and officially be the Central Division champions.
That sounds like a plan. We'll talk on Wednesday, and I do believe that by then we will be clinching, because even if we can go 3-3 or maybe 4-2 before we get out of town, I don't expect the Tigers to go 6-0. They've got the Royals for a series after they play us, and they're going to take a couple of losses. So I think we should have it wrapped up by this time next week.
Well, we'll talk about it, my man. Have a good. Any new updates on you? Where people can check you out yet?
Well, yeah. In fact, I'm just starting out with a group called CampusPressBox.com. Jeff Rich, a buddy of mine from Cleveland Fan, is over there now, and they called me when the Everybody Hates Cleveland thing, shuttered down, and asked me if I'd help them with the Ohio State beat over there. It's all college sports focused. As you might imagine, CampusPressBox.com is the site. I just got one column up there so far, getting ready to put my second one up this week, and there's going to be Ohio State and Big Ten focused, and so that'll be the place where people can read me online for now.
All right, there you go, CampusPressBox.com. We'll talk more about that next week. We'll talk some Buckeyes and so much more. Dan Wismar, have a great one, my friend.
Same to you, Jerry. Thanks again.
You got it. That is Dan the Man Wismar. He's with us every week. We're going to take a break. Final break of the show. When we come back, BJ Rudell's talking fantasy football for winners. We'll help you get ready for this week. We'll open the phone lines back up and call it a day. So much more to go. Don't go anywhere. Talking fantasy football with BJ Rudell next here on the Sports Fix.
This is the Sports Fix.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Hey, call me Mr. Pig!
We'll call you whatever you like, as long as we can call you a fan of the Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Harry Buffalo. Harry Buffalo, join the herd. Football season is party season at Harry Buffalo North Olmsted. And no matter who you root for, everyone wins at Harry Buffalo. Every Saturday is Coors Light College Football Saturday with $6 pitchers, 4 bottles for $10, and the Buckeyes in full HD. Every Sunday, all the Browns action with Bud Light beer specials and $10 hair of the dog pitchers.
Hey, baby, let's go out there like a bunch of crazy dogs. That's some fun.
Plus, every Monday night, catch the Monday Night Football action with some of your favorite Browns players. Football season is most definitely party season, and your headquarters is Harry Buffalo North Olmsted all winter long. Harry Buffalo, join the herd.
Hey everybody, Listen up.
Listen up, guys.
Hey, guys, listen up.
No one should ever hit a woman.
Not their wife, not their girlfriend, not their date. No woman should have to fear violence.
Especially not from someone they know and trust.
But that's the reality for too many women.
We have to change it.
It's up to each of us, because even one is too many.
Violence against women hurts all of us. Growing up, I was ashamed and afraid of my father when he abused my mom.
The worst abuse of power is when a man raises his hand to hurt a woman. We all have to take responsibility. So if you see someone threatening a woman, step up, speak out, and get help.
Dating violence hurts all of us. So step up and help end it. Because one is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
One is too many.
End the violence. Because it's wrong.
Because one is too many.
Welcome back to the Sports Mix Live. Yeah, we do it Gangnam style. We do it all kinds of style, baby. On the line, our special guest, Brown's great. Without this man, there is no dog pound. Hanford Dixon.
Hey, big dog, y'all got it going on over there. I was sitting there watching y'all. Y'all got a good show, man. I've listened to your show a lot, man. I got to compliment you guys. You got a really good show going there.
It's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
Open Gangnam Style.
Here with Bruce Smith, NFL Hall of Famer.
You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Feel the power of the Ultimate Warrior. Are you an Ultimate Warrior in your fantasy football league? I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm in 2 leagues. I'm 2-0 in 2 different leagues. That makes me 4-0. It's early, I know. I'm having some fun. How are you feeling, though? The Ultimate Warrior, baby. Rest in peace. Playing in the background as we welcome you back to the Sports Fix. I am your host, the Big Daddy on the microphone, J-Rocc, Jerry Meyer, my man, fantasy football guru, author of Fantasy Football for Winners, B.J. Rudell. He's on the hotline, going to join me next. We're going to talk a little bit about Week 3 fantasy football. Who can you play to make you an Ultimate Warrior? And as we hear about guys like AP, as we see Josh McCown, as we see every quarterback, anybody who dares play quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, as you see cats go down left and right, as we say, injury equals opportunity. We're going to answer some questions for you with BJ. Welcome back into the show. Whether you're listening live on TuneIn, Spreaker, Mixler, on all of the different mobile apps, on iHeartRadio, on iTunes, on Stitcher Radio, on 96.7 WFSN in Union City, Pennsylvania, on the home base, thesportsfix.net. Hit us up with your fantasy football questions for BJ. Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, Twitter @TheSportsFix, CLE, email TheSportsFix@AOL.com, or you can tweet directly at BJ Rudell, who I'm going to pull up right now on the hotlines. Let's see how he's doing so far, early season. BJ, my friend, how you doing this afternoon?
Good, J-Rocc. How are you doing?
Hey, I feel the power of the Ultimate Warrior, my friend. How are you feeling?
Good. And you're 2-0 in both leagues. Great job, man.
Early start. You know, it's better than being 0-2. It's all like my dad used to say, better than a kick in the pants. That's about all we got going. How are you doing early on? Have you had any crippling injuries, anything that's just took you out right off the bat?
Amir Abdullah, I grabbed him in a 14-team league. I grabbed him, I think, in the 7th round. So he was a steal at that spot as pretty much the last starting running back available. I was surprised to get him. So it's too bad that he's out. I'm still keeping him. He has a favorable fantasy playoff schedule. If he comes back in the 2-month time frame that he might come back in, he's worth a stash because he could go back to starting in a very favorable week 14, 15, 16 combination. So, you know, people are going to have to make those tough decisions right now about who to hold on to, who to let go, who to trade. Abdullah is right on that border of do I drop him or do I hold him, and right now I'm holding.
I'll tell you, I'm one of those guys that got hit early. Keenan Allen, first week, took me out. Ooh. Luckily, it was in a league where I was 7 or 8 deep at wide receiver, and legitimately 7 of them were 1, 2, or high 3s. So they all, really, my bench was full of wide receivers. Who did I have down there? I had Michael Thomas. I can't think. I have a couple of bona fide starters. Anyways, and then I took a flyer on Coleman and Pryor, who Coleman may end up being a touchdown machine. I mean, obviously 1 week is too much, but I had enough depth, but man, that one hurt. So I know what it's like, but so far nothing too crippling. How about this Adrian Peterson thing? Isn't it scary if you invested a high pick on him that's so early in the season? We're having these questions.
Yeah, I'm going to be quite candid about Adrian Peterson because I've been very vocal on my blog about him all preseason. He was the universal top 3 running back when you look at average draft position. He was outside my top 10. J-Rocc McKinnon, his average draft position was 55, and he was my 34th ranked running back. So my view is when you got a guy like Adrian Peterson, 31 and a half years old, a lot of wear and tear, touching the ball 350-plus times last season, those kinds of things catch up to you. And the same thing happened in 2012 when it caught up to him. He still had a great season, but he was 4 years younger then. So the key here is the probability of it happening was predictable. A lot of people didn't see the warning signs. This was a case where anyone who grabbed McKinnon late, and what's funny is, I'll admit it, I didn't grab McKinnon. I was all set to get McKinnon. He was 4 picks away from me. I had the turn, so I was 11th in the round, going down to 14 and then back to me. And Derek Carr was sitting there, and I thought, man, Derek Carr, I want J-Rocc McKinnon, but I'm going to get Derek Carr. I already had Ben Roethlisberger. I thought, having 2 potential top 5 quarterbacks is just, it's too good to pass up this late. It was like the 10th round. And then 3 picks later, the other guy picked J-Rocc McKinnon. And now I've offered Derek Carr for McKinnon to try to get him. That's how much I think of McKinnon. Even though Derek Carr right now is the number 3 fantasy scoring quarterback, I'm willing to give him up for J-Rocc McKinnon. That says a lot about what McKinnon can do on that field.
So let's talk a little bit about some more like that as we hit into week 3. Obviously, guys need to start looking at things like that. And, you've got situations like that all over the league. First off, I mentioned it before. Before we dive into anything else, I wanted to ask, looking at the Browns situation, you look at the quarterbacks there, the development of what could have been, especially with Josh McCown, those wide receivers. I mean, I mentioned Coleman and Terrell Pryor as well. They show big playability, but they're hit and miss. But now you're down to a rookie quarterback, Cody Kessler. What do you think the prospects of that young man surviving the next few weeks are?
Yeah, I think, Coleman's one of those guys that if you don't have Coleman, wait a week and then try to trade for him. Because I think I would be surprised if Kessler does well. I think the Dolphins' defense is very underrated. Dolphins have had arguably the toughest first 2-week schedule of the season, on the road against Patriots, on the road against the Seahawks. They almost won both of them. I mean, they came pretty close to tying or taking the lead in both of them in the fourth quarter. So the Dolphins are a very underrated team, and their defense is very underrated. They're the 22nd ranked defense according to average draft position. This preseason, they were in my top 12. And I think they're going to keep Cleveland in check. I think Kessler is in for, the best he can hope for, I think, is relying on Isaiah Crowell and relying on Duke Johnson and maybe an outlet to Gary Barnidge now and then. But I don't see him going deep. I don't see him taking big risks. I see it being more of a game management situation. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but this is about as tough a situation as you're going to find. A rookie quarterback coming in, a third-string quarterback coming in this early in the season for a team whose offense really hasn't gelled yet. And it's a lot to ask of someone. It's a lot to ask for someone who wasn't an elite quarterback, coming into this league as a rookie.
Looking around the league as we get ready to check out of the Browns and look, as you mentioned, we talked about AP, but there's so many of these guys. You mentioned Abdullah, Doug Martin, Rashad Jennings, Thomas Rawls, Arian Foster. I mean, guy after guy after guy here. Jonathan Stewart.
Yeah, Rashad Jennings, a great example. Paul Perkins is sitting on waivers in pretty much every league. And everyone listening, if you have a bench spot that you can afford to give up, knowing that bye weeks are coming up, grab Paul Perkins. There's no one in that Giants backfield who's really doing anything. And it's only a matter of time, in my opinion, before they give Perkins the ball and see what he can do. He's the most talented running back in terms of potential in that backfield. So anyone who feels like, oh, man, why didn't I see McKinnon coming? Well, to be honest, people who read my blog saw it coming. But Paul Perkins is another guy. So now go see it, get him before everyone else gets him. Same thing with Alan Dixon, Baltimore. No one sees in control of that Baltimore Ravens backfield. The offense is going to do fine this year. Joe Flacco with Steve Smith and Mike Wallace and Kamar Aiken and Rashard Perriman and Dennis Pitta. This is probably one of the best passing offenses we've seen in Baltimore in a decade. And the running game is what's slowing them down. So what's going to happen when Alan Dixon comes off his injury? I think they're going to give him a chance to lead the charge and get 15-plus touches a game. These guys are sitting there on waivers in most leagues, and people are sitting there instead holding on to, C.J. Spiller, hoping that he gets picked up somewhere, or they're holding on to, Jack Doyle, hoping that he gets a touchdown for him as a backup tight end. People need to stop doing that and start getting those handcuffed running backs.
Speaking of running backs, going back to the Browns real quick, you saw the burst-out game by Isaiah Crowell this week. He got, 133 yards, 85 of that on one carry, though. Does the Crow rise up on your radar a little bit?
This past week, he hasn't, and part of that is because of McCown's injury. This preseason, I talked about on my blog that the best quarterback on the Browns is Josh McCown, and they'd be crazy to trade him away. Because there was a time when they were talking about trading him to the Cowboys and some other teams. They were fishing around to see who would want McCown. It was clear, it should have been clear, that McCown is the most talented guy. He will be back in a few weeks. I think this is a good opportunity for the running game to kind of take over, and Crowell and Duke Johnson are fully capable as a tandem of combining for 150 yards a game, on the ground, in the air. The question is, where's the rest of the yards going to come? And I think we just have to wait for McCown to return before we see the Browns' offense really gel.
All right, let's start looking around the league here. Week 3, give me some studs that got to play and some surprises that you've got on your agenda.
We talked about McCown, obviously. For the Dolphins, Ryan Tannehill is a guy that you really want to throw in there. It sounds ridiculous. Ryan Tannehill was the 23rd or something like that ranked quarterback entering the season. He was in my top 12. He is right now the 10th highest fantasy scoring quarterback in standard leagues, going against two very tough teams on the road. I hate to say it, J-Rocc, because they're playing the Browns, but this is a game the Dolphins will win. I think they'll win fairly handily. I think Ryan Tannehill is going to throw for about 3 touchdowns. You look elsewhere around the league, the Patriots, if Garoppolo isn't starting, I don't think Brissett is going to be throwing for much more than $150. So then you're looking at LeGarrette Blount, and suddenly he's the guy who's going to, the offense is going to center around him because they're going to be leaning on him. Even against the tough Texans defense, Blount could be getting 20, 25 touches in that game. So he's someone who, he's usually hit or miss, and this is a case where at least they're going to feed him the ball. And then you get guys like TJ Sharp, who took a week off after a good week 1, playing a Raiders defense that they can handle. In my opinion, they can at least compete against, and the offense should be fine. I think Sharp's a great guy for people to remember. Oh, this is a guy who led the team in targets in week 1. He's a very talented player. And finally, over Jaguars Ravens, Jaguars are 0-2. People are giving up on Blake Bortles, just like some people are even questioning Russell Wilson. And I want to caution people, both those quarterbacks are top 10 fantasy quarterbacks, hands down, and they will be this season. Both of them have very good matchups. Jaguars finally get a decent home game. They're playing a Ravens team that I think they can beat. I think it won't be as close as a lot of people think it will be, and I think you'll see guys like Allen Robinson step up. You'll see Chris Ivory if he comes back from injury. It looks like he might play. Suddenly playing a pretty significant role because T.J. Yeldon didn't do much on his own. And finally, guys like Blake Bortles putting together the 2 to 3 touchdown games that we came accustomed to last year.
B.J. Rudell, Fantasy Football for Winners, joining us here on the Sports Fix as we go around. A guy I wanted to ask you about, Shane Vereen. I've got him in one of my leagues, and do you see him picking up some possibility? I mean, he's always been good at catching balls out of the backfield anyway, but there's some opportunity there.
there's opportunity there because Rashard Jennings was dramatically overvalued this preseason. A lot of people said, well, Jennings is going to leave the backfield. No, he's not. He doesn't stay healthy, and he's not that great a runner anymore. I mean, he's always been a good complementary back. Unfortunately, to your question, Shane Vereen is a complementary back. He's Darren Sproles without the track record. Shane Vereen is a guy who can catch 6-8 balls and get you 40, 50 yards, and he might run the ball a few times and get you 20 yards. But that Giants team runs through the passing game right now, and I don't see Shane Vereen getting enough touches per game where in even a 12, 14-team league, you don't want to lean on a guy like Vereen as your flex or as your number 2 running back. I would rather trade Vereen after a decent game and package him in a 2-for-2 and lock up, somebody slightly better in your roster spot and then drop the bad guy you get back. In other words, trade 2 guys, get a good player in return and a bad player in return, drop the bad player and pick up Paul Perkins. I think on balance, going forward, people are going to be better off that way.
I've got a question here for you on Facebook. Would you start Amari Cooper or Des Bryant?
I want to know what other receivers that person has because, Amari Cooper is I'll tell you what, I drafted Amari Cooper in my league. He was the 25th player taken off the board in my 14-team league. I thought it was a steal. I couldn't believe Amari Cooper fell in my lap. Amari Cooper is a top 10 receiver this season. He's an every week starter because he's a top 10 receiver. Des Bryant, when things are going well, if Dak Prescott is throwing to him and or when Tony Romo returns, Des Bryant is an every week starter, a top 10 receiver. So you're talking about 2 guys who should be every week starters, and that really I would challenge that person and ask, is there someone else that they're starting that they shouldn't be starting?
All right. Anything else? What do you got? Lay anything else on them, BJ, before we wrap it. I know you're short on time.
I would just caution your listeners, and J-Rocc, you know this stuff, and I don't want to make it sound, we talk about this stuff all the time, but I think people get caught up a lot with short-term things, and the one statistic I'll leave you with is Stephon Diggs. When things are going well, everyone assumes things are going to keep going well. There was a streak last season when Stephon Diggs, went off 4 or 5 straight weeks, great numbers, and then he tailed off, and people who didn't sell high got burned. And there are warning signs to that. And the warning sign through 2 weeks, everyone's talking about Stephon Diggs, and he's the real deal, and he's the, top 10 receiver. He's not. He's accounted for almost 49% of the Vikings' offense. By comparison, last year, Adrian Peterson accounted for 29% of the Vikings' offense. So does anyone out there honestly think that Stephon Diggs is going to account for 49% of the Vikings offense, much less 29%, which is what AP accounted for last year, and that was a big chunk of offense. Stephon Diggs is going to scale back because defenses are going to adjust, and people need to trade Stephon Diggs immediately for a top 15 running back, a top 15 receiver, a top 2 tight end. Do it now before you're left holding the bag week 5 and realizing that, oh, wait a second, Stephon Diggs is getting me 60 yards to 70 yards every week and a score every 2 to 3 weeks. And what was I thinking?
Listen to the man now. Remember what you just heard. I'll tell you what, real quick, just to wrap this up, as we were talking about the Browns have played 5 quarterbacks in their last 5 games, talking about those guys going down. The Packers have played 5 quarterbacks since 1993.
Wow.
Since 1993.
That's a stat of the day.
Dude, 1993. 5 quarterbacks. And the Browns have had 5 in the last 5 games.
Well, it's all I can say is I hope Cody Kessler stays healthy so, we can make it 5 out of 6.
I hope whoever his significant other is got insurance on that man, because he may be in some trouble. And I've got hopes for him. Hey, he's a good kid. I hope he does well. He did all right in USC, but he's going to be running for his life here. He's not as physically imposing as Josh McCown, and they finally, when you can break Josh McCown, man, that's something, because if there's anything that guy does, it's get back out there and take another snap. So good luck, Mr. Right. Cody Kessler. Good luck to everybody playing fantasy football this week too, BJ, and looking forward to getting you back on next week.
Sounds great, J-Rocc. Have a great week, man.
You got it. You too. That's my man, BJ Rudell, author of Fantasy Football for Winners. You guys can check out his blog on Facebook, Fantasy Football for Winners. Check out, of course, the book, Fantasy Football for Winners. And he's on Twitter at BJ Rudell. He's here every week giving you the rundown as well as we lead you through the fantasy football season. Shout out again to the Sports Fix Fantasy Football Challenge as we roll into week 3. Some of you guys 2-0, some of you 0-2. We're fighting for the championship belt and the runner-up ring, courtesy of FantasyJocks.com, America's fantasy sports superstore. Guys, that's going to be just about it for today. Next week, we're going to be back in here live in the studio with Dan, with BJ, with you guys as we continue to roll on. A couple of weeks from now, we're going to get Coach Gary Waters from the Cleveland State Vikings basketball team on as they start to get set for hoop season. Man, hoops, Cavs camp is starting in just a couple of days from now. It's already basketball time, people. The year continues to roll on. Speaking of rolling on, as we wrap this thing down, looking forward to being in West Newton, Pennsylvania this Saturday evening for the RWA Wrestling Organization. It's just outside of Pittsburgh. A couple of you guys have already stopped me there and said, hey, I heard you on the Sports Fix. And so come on out to West Newton, Pennsylvania, Saturday night. Check me out doing the pro wrestling thing, or come say hi Friday night, East Lake North High School. I will be there, Cardinal Mooney at East Lake North. I will be there for this week's Game of the Week on WINT 101.5 FM, 1330 AM, WINTradio.com. I'll be calling high school football from East Lake North on Friday, wrestling in West Newton, Pennsylvania on Saturday. Come on out and see me, guys. Cannot wait for that. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Enjoy it as hopefully the Tribe wraps up a clinch here pretty soon, and we're talking playoffs there. Good luck enjoying this week's game. The Browns head down to Miami. They've got the 2 0-2 teams. Somebody's going to get the win. Will it be the Browns? I wouldn't bet on it, but I will watch it because I like to suffer for 3 hours every Saturday, or excuse me, every Sunday. Saturdays I don't suffer. I get to watch the Buckeyes. It's Sundays that we suffer. Man, I sat there at the end of that Ravens game and just said, damn, they did it again. Damn. And unfortunately now they're going to end the show on a bad note. I'm going to pick it back up. Guys, have a great time. Have a great week. Go Tribe. That's all you need to worry about right now. And the Cavs will be coming up behind them pretty quickly. Enjoy it, guys. Get back here. Same bat time, same bat channel, noon Wednesday next week on the Sports Fix. We love you, Cleveland and beyond. Have a great week. And we'll see you next week, Daddy, right here on The Fix.
Faith in my teams, we keep getting closer every year. But we got the king, though, so hopefully we overcome. Yes, I have a dream, and I know I ain't the only one. Modell tried to steal my heart, but we brought it back. Thanks to Cleveland Clinic, now they call them Kiss the Cardiac. Rock Hall, Science Center, Tower City, all of that. Warehouse District, Euclid Corridor, and all the flat. You know that I'm a Tribes fan, and I love Sliming. Crockett Park's the perfect place for me to spend some time in. Baby, this is Cleveland. It is so much more to us. You can even go to Severn's Hall to see an orchestra. Hey.